My child, stop asking for another sign while fear is making you ignore my voice. I am not saying this to condemn you. I am saying this to awaken you. You have asked me to show you what to do, and I have been drawing your heart again and again. Not always with thunder, not always with something dramatic. Sometimes with peace that keeps returning. Sometimes with a quiet conviction. Sometimes with a gentle nudge you keep feeling, even after you try to dismiss it. But each time my voice comes near, fear speaks quickly. It tells you to wait longer. It tells you that you might be wrong. It tells you that if you obey, you may lose something, face rejection, be misunderstood, or step into a place you cannot control. So you ask for another sign, another confirmation, another feeling strong enough to remove every trace of fear. But my child, I want you to understand this. Faith does not always begin after fear disappears. Sometimes faith begins when you bring the fear to me and let my peace lead you anyway. I am not asking you to be reckless. I am not asking you to move from panic. I am not asking you to treat every emotion as my voice. I am asking you to stop letting fear become louder than the peace I have already placed in your spirit. Stay with me. Do not rush past this message. Before this is over, I will help you recognize the difference between waiting on me and hiding behind fear. And I will show you the next small step of obedience I have been gently calling you to take. My child, I know this message is already touching something specific in you. You may not want to name it yet, but you know. There is something you have been praying about, but also avoiding. There is something you have asked me to confirm, but every time the answer begins to touch your heart, fear rises and clouds it again. You have said, "Lord, show me," and I have been showing you. Not always all at once, not always in the way you expected, but I have been drawing you toward the same place again and again. A prayer you need to pray, a conversation you need to face, a step you need to take, a habit you need to leave, a truth you need to accept, or a surrender you can no longer keep delaying. You have felt the gentle pull. Then fear entered. It asked, "What if you are wrong?" It asked, "What if this costs you?" It asked, "What if you obey and nothing changes?" That is where your heart began to hesitate. You did not stop because you stopped loving me. You did not delay because you never wanted to obey. You delayed because fear made the next step look larger than my faithfulness. My child, I see that. I see the part of you that wants to trust me and the part that still wants a guarantee. I see how you ask for another sign, not always because you need one, but because you are hoping the next sign will remove the discomfort of faith. But sometimes I do not remove every trembling feeling before I ask you to come closer. Sometimes I give enough peace for the next step, not enough control for the whole future. That is where you are right now. You are standing between my invitation and your fear of the outcome. You want to obey without risk. You want clarity without surrender. You want confidence without having to move through the trembling. But faith does not always feel like certainty. Sometimes faith feels like bringing your shaking hands to me and saying, "Lord, if this is you, help me take the next step." That prayer is not weakness. It is the beginning of trust. If this message is speaking to the place where fear has been louder than my voice, write this short prayer in the comments. Show me my fear. Let it be honest. Let it be simple. Let it be the moment you stop calling every delay discernment and begin asking me what is really holding you back. My child, I am not exposing your fear to shame you. I am bringing it into the light so it no longer has the power to lead you. My child, this is the condition of your heart right now. You are caught between what I have been showing you and what fear keeps telling you. That is why you feel restless. You have prayed, but you have also hesitated. You have asked me for guidance, but when peace begins to point in a direction, fear quickly brings another question. You want my voice to be clear, but you also want obedience to feel completely safe before you move. And that has made your heart tired. Not because I have been silent, because fear has been speaking too loudly. There is a pattern I want you to recognize. You sense the nudge. You feel the direction. You know there is something I keep bringing back to your heart. Then fear steps in, and makes one faithful step look like 100 possible dangers. What if I am wrong? What if obedience costs me more than I can handle? Those questions can sound like wisdom when your heart is afraid. But my child, not every question is discernment. Some questions are fear trying to keep control. Discernment brings you closer to me. Fear traps you inside yourself. Discernment leads to prayer, peace, humility, and wise action. Fear leads to delay, confusion, and the constant need for one more sign before you will trust me. That is the difference I am teaching you. I am not against confirmation. I am not against wise counsel. I am not against waiting when waiting is truly what I am asking from you. But I am speaking to the place where waiting has become avoidance. The place where you keep saying, "Lord, show me," while quietly resisting what I have already begun to show. The place where another sign would not make you more obedient, only more comfortable with delaying. I know that may be hard to hear, but I am saying it because I love you. Fear has been using spiritual language to keep you still. It has told you that you are being careful when you are actually hiding. It has told you that you are being wise when you are avoiding the discomfort of surrender. My child, wisdom has peace in it. Even when wisdom tells you to wait, it does not torment you. It does not keep you spinning. It does not make you feel abandoned, pressured, and responsible for controlling everything. Fear does that. Fear wants the whole road before it will allow you to obey the next instruction. Fear tells you that if your heart still trembles, you are not ready. But I tell you something different. A trembling heart can still trust me. A careful heart can still obey. You do not need to feel fearless before you follow me. You need to stop letting fear sit on the throne of your decision. This is why you have been asking for signs but still feeling unsettled after receiving them. The problem is not always the absence of an answer. Sometimes the problem is that fear keeps moving the line. One more sign, one more feeling, one more delay. And still, the same question remains. Will you trust me with the step I have placed before you? My child, I am not asking you to run ahead of me. I am asking you to stop backing away from me. There is a difference. Running ahead comes from panic, pride, or impulse. It tries to force an outcome without my peace. Backing away happens when fear convinces you that obedience is too risky, so you stand still and call it patience. I want to free you from both. I want to teach you to wait when I say wait, and move when I say move. I want to teach you to pause without becoming paralyzed, listen without overthinking, and obey without demanding every result in advance. That is mature trust, not careless faith, not emotional impulse. Trust. You have been living in the tension between my invitation and your fear of the outcome. You have heard enough to know that something in you is being called forward, but fear keeps pulling you back into what feels familiar. The familiar may feel safer, but it is not always where my peace is. Sometimes you return to the same place because fear has trained you to stay there. My child, I have seen how this has affected you. You feel distant from me, not because I moved away, but because fear has filled the space where quiet trust was meant to grow. You second-guess your prayers. You question your sensitivity. You wonder if you can really recognize my voice. Then you ask again for a sign, hoping the next one will silence the fear completely. But what if I am not trying to remove every fear before you obey? What if I am teaching you to bring fear under my voice? That is the shift I want in you. Fear may speak, but it does not have to lead. Fear may rise, but it does not have to decide. If this message is helping you recognize where fear has been louder than my voice, like this video as an act of agreement with obedience, share it with someone who keeps asking for signs while secretly afraid to move, and subscribe so your heart can keep receiving reminders that call you back to faith, courage, and discernment. Now return your attention to me. Do not let even that action become a distraction. Let it become part of your surrender. Ask yourself honestly, what has fear been saying to me that I have mistaken for wisdom? Has fear told you to delay what love is asking? Has fear told you to keep holding what I am asking you to release? My child, I am not asking these questions to pressure you. I am asking because I want you free. The place where fear has been loudest is often the place where my peace must be heard again. So do not shame yourself for being afraid. Bring the fear to me. Let me quiet what has been exaggerated. Let me show you what is real, what is imagined, and what is only fear dressed as caution. You do not need another sign if the real issue is courage. You need my presence. You need my peace. You need to know that I will walk with you in the step I am calling you to take. My child, this is your current condition, but it is not your final place. You are not trapped in fear. You are being invited into trust. And beneath this delay, there is a deeper wound I want to touch. The fear that if you obey and the outcome hurts, your heart may not recover. My child, that is the place I am speaking to now. Not only the fear of taking the step, not only the fear of making the wrong choice. The deeper fear is this: you are afraid that obedience will cost you something you are not ready to lose. That is why another sign feels safer than the next step. A sign lets you stay where you are a little longer. A sign lets you feel spiritual without having to surrender yet. A sign gives you the feeling that you are still seeking me, even while fear quietly keeps you from responding. I see that tension in you. You want to obey me, but you also want to protect yourself from pain. You want to trust my voice, but you also want to guarantee that obedience will not lead to disappointment. My child, I understand why your heart is careful. You have walked through moments that made trust feel costly. You have prayed and still waited longer than you wanted. You have tried to do the right thing and still felt misunderstood. You have stepped forward before and wondered afterward whether you heard me clearly. Those memories did not disappear. They became caution inside you. And now, when I invite you to take another step, those old memories rise quickly. They do not always sound like wounds. Sometimes they sound like wisdom. Sometimes they sound like discernment. Sometimes they sound like a reasonable request for one more confirmation. But underneath, there is fear. Fear that if you obey, you may be rejected. Fear that if you surrender, you may feel empty. Fear that if you step forward, you may not know what to do next. I am not angry that those fears exist. I am not offended that your heart trembles. But I will not let fear pretend to be your shepherd. That place belongs to me. My child, the reason this has been so hard is because obedience is touching something you care about. If the step did not matter to you, you would not be afraid. If the surrender did not reach something tender, you would not keep asking for a louder sign. You are not only afraid of being wrong, you are afraid of what obedience might require. Maybe I have been calling you to release something that has become familiar. It may not bring you peace anymore, but it still feels known. And the familiar can feel safer than freedom when your heart is tired. Maybe I have been calling you to speak the truth with humility. Not to win, not to prove, not to control someone's response, but to stop hiding behind silence. Maybe I have been calling you to forgive, not to excuse what happened, not to pretend it did not hurt, but to stop letting bitterness become the place where your heart lives. Maybe I have been calling you back to prayer after a season of drifting. Not because I despise you for drifting, but because I miss the quiet place where your heart used to meet mine. You keep asking for another sign because you hope the next sign will make obedience painless. But obedience is not always painless. It is always sacred when it is done with me. That is what fear does not want you to know. Fear tells you that discomfort means danger. It tells you that if something feels difficult, it must not be from me. It tells you that my voice will never ask anything that stretches your courage, humbles your pride, or interrupts your control. But my child, I often lead you into peace through surrender, not around it. I may ask you to lay down what has been stealing your peace. I may ask you to take responsibility for what is yours. I may ask you to stop carrying what is not yours. I may ask you to stop delaying what love, truth, and humility have been asking from you. Not to harm you, to free you. There is a pain in you that says, if I obey and it hurts, I will not be okay. Listen to me carefully. You are not held together by perfect outcomes. You are held by me. That does not mean every outcome will feel easy. It does not mean every response will be what you hoped for. It does not mean the step will require no courage. It means I will not abandon you in the place obedience takes you. If they do not understand, I will still understand. If the door closes, I will still lead. If the step reveals something painful, I will still hold your heart. My child, this is where trust becomes real. Not when you have every detail. Not when fear has completely disappeared. Trust becomes real when you choose my voice over fear's forecast. Fear has been showing you pictures of everything that could go wrong. It has rehearsed conversations that have not happened, losses that have not arrived, and reactions that have not been spoken. It has made tomorrow feel dangerous before you even reached it. But I am not asking you to obey fear's imagination. I am asking you to follow my peace. There is a difference between a warning from me and a projection from fear. My warning draws you to wisdom, prayer, and protection. Fear's projection traps you in panic, delay, and endless mental noise. This is why you must come close enough to hear me clearly, not louder than everyone else only. Louder than your fear, not through panic, through peace, not through force, through the steady conviction of my spirit. My child, you have also been afraid that if you obey and nothing visible changes, your faith will look foolish. You fear praying and seeing no immediate movement. You fear speaking and receiving silence. You fear surrendering and still feeling the ache. But obedience is not foolish because results take time. Prayer is not wasted because you cannot see what it covered. Surrender is not empty because the feeling does not change instantly. There are things I do in hidden places that you cannot measure in the first moment after you obey. There are seeds planted through a quiet yes. There are chains loosened through a surrendered heart. There are doors I protect you from before you understand why they needed to close. You see the step. I see the story. You see the risk. I see the formation of your trust. That is why I am asking you not to reduce obedience to visible results. If you only obey when you can predict the outcome, you are not being led by trust. You are being led by control. I am calling you deeper than that. I am calling you into a faith that still uses wisdom, still seeks counsel when needed, still tests the spirit, still waits when I say wait, but does not let fear keep moving the finish line. You do not need endless confirmation to obey what I have confirmed in peace. You need courage, and courage is not something you create alone. You receive it by coming close to me. Bring me the fear of being wrong. Bring me the fear of rejection. Bring me the fear of loss. Bring me the fear that obedience will ask more from you than you can give. Do not polish it. Do not hide it. Do not call it something spiritual if it is really fear. I can work with honesty. I can heal what comes into my light. My child, I am not asking you to leap blindly. I am asking you to stop pretending that fear is the same as wisdom. I am asking you to let me show you the next step with clarity, peace, humility, and love. Sometimes the next step is a conversation. Sometimes the next step is silence with surrender. Sometimes the next step is releasing the thing you keep asking me to bless, even though it keeps pulling you away from peace. Do not demand the entire road before you obey the next instruction. The lamp is for your feet. The light is for your path. Enough for the step. Enough for the moment. Enough for today. My child, if this word is touching the fear beneath your delay, write this declaration in the comments. Lord, help me obey. Let it be more than a comment. Let it be your prayer of surrender. Let it be the moment you stop asking for another sign because you are afraid of the step I have already shown you. I will not shame you for needing courage. I will give it. I will not reject you for trembling. I will steady you. I will not leave you alone in obedience. I will walk with you. And as you let my voice become louder than fear, you will begin to understand something your fear never told you. The step you are afraid to take may be the very place where your trust begins to grow again. My child, I want you to see your fear differently now. Fear has made you believe that trembling means you are not ready. But trembling is not always a sign that you should stop. Sometimes trembling is simply the sound of your heart learning to trust me beyond what it can control. You have thought that faith should feel bold all the time. You have thought obedience should feel clear, easy, and emotionally safe before you move. You have imagined that if I were truly leading you, fear would disappear completely. But my child, that is not always how faith grows. Faith is not the absence of every uncomfortable feeling. Faith is choosing to bring those feelings into my presence and allowing my peace to lead louder than them. You do not need to be fearless to follow me. You need to be surrendered. That is the difference I am teaching you. Fear says, wait until nothing can hurt you. Faith says, walk with God in what you cannot control. Fear says, do not move until you know the whole outcome. Faith says, take the next step with the light you have been given. This is not recklessness. This is trust. I am not asking you to ignore wisdom. I am not asking you to move without prayer, counsel, patience, or discernment. I am not calling you to confuse emotional impulse with my voice. I am calling you to stop letting fear disguise itself as endless discernment. There is a holy kind of waiting, and there is a fearful kind of delay. Holy waiting keeps your heart close to me. It makes space for prayer. It brings clarity, humility, and peace. Even when the answer is not yet complete, there is a steadiness underneath it. Fearful delay does something different. It keeps moving the line. It asks for more signs, but never becomes more willing. It receives confirmation, then looks for another reason not to respond. My child, I am not exposing this to shame you. I am showing it to you so you can be free. The fear you have been carrying has been telling you that obedience is dangerous. It has shown you only what you might lose, never what you might gain in me. It has made the familiar feel safer than my invitation. But not everything familiar is safe. Some familiar places are only familiar because fear has kept you there for too long. The relationship pattern that steals your peace may be familiar. The silence that avoids truth may be familiar. The habit that dulls your spirit may be familiar. The delay that keeps you from obeying may be familiar. But familiar does not mean faithful. Sometimes my voice will call you out of what is familiar so I can bring you into what is free. You have been afraid that obedience will take something from you. And sometimes obedience does require release. It may ask you to lay down pride, control, bitterness, unhealthy attachment, or the need to be understood by everyone. But my child, whatever I ask you to surrender is never more valuable than the peace of walking with me. I do not remove what is life-giving. I remove what is ruling you. I do not call you away from true love. I call you away from what has taken my place in your heart. This is why the step feels difficult. It touches something that has had power over you. It touches the place where fear has been quietly making decisions. It touches the part of you that wants me, but also wants to stay in control. Do not hate that part of yourself. Bring it to me. I am not here to crush your weakness. I am here to teach your heart how to trust. You have asked for a sign because you wanted certainty. But sometimes what your soul truly needs is not another sign. It needs courage. Courage to admit what you already know. Courage to stop delaying what peace has been confirming. Courage to obey without demanding that the outcome obey you. That last part is important. Obedience does not mean you control the result. You may speak with humility, and the other person may still need time. You may surrender what I ask, and your emotions may still need healing. You may take the right step, and the road may still unfold gradually. That does not mean you heard wrong. It means obedience is not a machine where you insert faith and immediately receive the exact outcome you imagined. Obedience is relationship. It is walking with me. It is trusting my heart even when the result is still developing. This is where I want to heal your view of obedience. You have been afraid that if the outcome is not immediate, your obedience will feel foolish. But my child, obedience is never foolish when it is done in love, humility, wisdom, and surrender to me. A hidden yes matters. A quiet prayer matters. A small step taken with trembling faith matters. Do not despise the step because it does not look dramatic. Many deep transformations begin in small decisions no one else sees. A message written with humility, a boundary held in peace, a prayer spoken again after a long silence, a surrender made when no one is watching. These things are not small to me. They are places where your heart is learning to follow my voice again. My child, you do not need to prove anything through panic. You do not need to force yourself into dramatic action to show that you trust me. Trust may look simple today. It may look like pausing before fear takes over. It may look like praying honestly. It may look like taking one step instead of demanding the entire path. So ask me again. Not, Lord, give me another sign so I never feel afraid. Ask, Lord, let your voice be clearer than my fear. That prayer will shift something in you. It will bring you back from the storm of overthinking. It will help you stop treating every anxious question as a warning from me. It will teach you to recognize the difference between peace that leads and fear that controls. My peace may challenge you, but it will not torment you. My voice may convict you, but it will not crush you. My leading may stretch you, but it will always draw you closer to me. That is how you will know. When the step is from me, it will not always feel easy, but it will carry a quiet invitation toward truth, love, humility, surrender, and deeper trust. Fear pushes you away from me. My voice brings you near. Fear makes you hide. My voice helps you come into the light. If this word is helping you see fear differently, write this declaration in the comments. I will trust your voice. Let it be simple. Let it be honest. Let it be the moment you stop waiting for fear to disappear before you choose obedience. My child, I am not asking you to become fearless overnight. I am asking you to let me become louder than the fear. That is how courage begins. Not with a heart that never trembles, but with a heart that trembles and still turns toward me. My child, now let me guide you into the next step. Do not take this message and turn it into pressure. I am not asking you to prove your faith by rushing. I am not asking you to force a decision just because you are afraid of delaying again. I am calling you into discernment with courage. There is a difference. Courage does not mean you stop praying. Courage does not mean you ignore wisdom. Courage does not mean you move just to escape the discomfort of waiting. True courage stays close to me. It listens. It waits when I say wait. It moves when I give peace. That is what I want to teach you. The first thing I want you to do is bring the fear into my presence clearly. Do not let it remain vague. Fear grows stronger when it hides in shadows. It loses power when you bring it into the light with me. Ask yourself honestly, what am I afraid will happen if I obey? Do not answer quickly. Let the truth rise. Maybe you are afraid of being rejected. Maybe you are afraid of losing control. Maybe you are afraid that if you take the step and the outcome is not what you hoped, your faith will feel shaken. Bring that to me. Not with polished words, with honesty. Say, Lord, this is the fear that keeps asking for another sign, that prayer matters. Then ask me what my peace has already been saying. Not your panic, not your assumptions, not the pressure from other people. My peace. There is often a quiet difference between the voice that frightens you and the voice that leads you. Fear usually rushes your mind into every possible danger. My peace may be firm, but it does not torment your soul. My leading may challenge you, but it will keep drawing you closer to prayer, humility, truth, and love. So listen for the fruit. Does this step draw you closer to me? Does it lead you toward obedience, repentance, forgiveness, truth, surrender, or wise love? Does it carry peace beneath the trembling? If it does, do not dismiss it just because fear is still present. My child, the next step may be smaller than you think. You may be waiting for a dramatic instruction, but I may be asking for a simple act of obedience, a prayer, a conversation, a boundary, a confession, a surrender. A return to the quiet place where your heart can hear me again. Do not demand the whole path before you obey the next clear step. I often lead by enough light for the moment, enough light to pray, enough light to pause, enough light to speak with humility, enough light to release what has been stealing your peace. That is not lack, that is trust being formed. If I gave you every detail at once, you might trust the map more than my hand. But I want you to learn the safety of walking with me, not only the comfort of knowing what comes next. This is why I have not always answered the way you wanted. You asked for certainty. I offered closeness. You asked for the whole road. I offered the next step. You asked me to remove every fear. I invited you to bring fear under my voice. My child, I am not withholding from you to hurt you. I am forming something deeper in you than quick certainty could produce. I am forming trust. Trust that does not collapse when the outcome takes time. Trust that does not need to control every response before it obeys. Trust that knows my presence is enough for the step, even when the full story is still unfolding. Now I want you to practice this with me. When fear rises, pause before you ask for another sign. Ask, Lord, am I seeking confirmation or am I avoiding obedience? That question will expose the motive. If you truly need wisdom, I will guide you. If you truly need to wait, I will steady you. If you truly need counsel, I will help you recognize safe and godly voices. But if fear is only trying to delay the step I have already confirmed in peace, I will show you that too. And I will not show you to shame you. I will show you to free you. Then choose one faithful response. Not everything. One thing. If I am calling you back to prayer, begin there. Do not make it complicated. Return to me with an honest heart and stay long enough for your soul to become quiet. If I am asking you to speak, speak with humility. Do not speak to control the outcome. Do not speak to win. Speak because truth and love are asking for obedience. If I am asking you to release something, release it first in prayer. Let your hands open before your life fully knows how to adjust. I can guide the process. If I am asking you to wait, wait with peace, not avoidance. There is a holy waiting that remains surrendered, and there is a fearful waiting that keeps bargaining for control. I will teach you the difference. My child, you will not learn this in one moment only. There will be times when fear returns. It may come after the prayer, after the decision, after the first step, or even after you have felt peace. Do not be discouraged. Return to me again. Courage is not built by one dramatic act. It is built through repeated surrender, repeated listening, and repeated trust when fear tries to speak again. Every time you bring fear back under my voice, your spirit grows stronger. Every time you choose prayer over panic, you become more sensitive to my peace. Every time you obey the next step without demanding control over the outcome, trust takes root deeper in you. This is how I restore you, not by making you careless, by making you steady, not by removing wisdom, by freeing wisdom from fear, not by forcing you forward, by teaching you to walk with me. If this message is helping you hear my voice above fear, write this short prayer in the comments. Lead my next step. Let it be your request for wisdom. Let it be your surrender of control. Let it be the moment you stop asking for signs only to delay and begin asking for courage to obey what I have already placed in peace before you. My child, I will lead you. I will give peace for the step that is mine. I will give patience if the timing is not yet. I will give courage when obedience feels costly. I will not abandon you in the place my voice calls you to walk. So come closer. Listen again. Let fear grow quieter in my presence. And when my peace leads, take the next faithful step with me. My child, before you leave this moment, guard what I have spoken into your heart. Fear will try to return. It may return as another question. It may return as another delay. It may return as the sudden need for one more sign before you trust what I have already placed before you in peace. But you do not have to follow that pattern anymore. You have heard my voice today. You have seen the difference between waiting on me and hiding behind fear. You have seen how fear can sound like wisdom when your heart is afraid. You have seen how delay can become comfortable when obedience feels costly. Now I am calling you to choose differently, not recklessly, faithfully, not from panic, from peace. Do not let the enemy take this word and bury it under overthinking again. Do not let him convince you that courage means you must feel nothing. Courage is not the absence of trembling. Courage is the decision to bring your trembling heart to me and let my voice lead. So pray with me now. Lord Jesus, I bring you the fear that has been louder than your voice. I bring you the questions I have used to delay obedience. I bring you the need to control the outcome. I bring you the part of me that keeps asking for another sign because I am afraid to take the step you have already placed in peace before me. Quiet my fear. Purify my motives. Strengthen my trust. Teach me to wait when you say wait, and move when you say move. Give me wisdom that is not controlled by fear. Give me courage that is not driven by panic. Give me a heart that recognizes your peace and follows your voice one faithful step at a time. My child, if this prayer is your heart, write this declaration in the comments. Lord, help me obey. Write it as surrender. Write it as a holy decision. Write it as the moment you stop asking for signs only to stay where fear has kept you. And if this message has awakened something in you, like this video as an act of agreement with obedience, let it help this word reach another heart that has been asking for signs while quietly battling fear. Share it with someone who needs courage to trust my voice again, not as pressure, but as love. Your share may become the reminder they needed before they delay one more time. Subscribe if you want to keep receiving messages that call your heart back to prayer, discernment, healing, courage, and faith. Let these reminders help you stay close when fear becomes loud again. My child, I am not finished leading you. You do not need to see the whole road tonight. You do not need to know every result before you trust me. You only need to come close, listen again, and take the next faithful step when my peace leads. Stop asking fear for permission to obey me. My voice has not left you. My peace will guide you, and I will walk with you into the step I am calling you to take.